Why is GEICO suddenly losing to Progressive Direct?
Yeah, well, I would say this, over the last, well, I forget what year it was we passed Progressive and what year it was we passed Allstate, but GEICO's growth rate in the first quarter was not as high as in the past couple of first quarters, but it was quite satisfactory. Now, the first quarter is by far the best quarter for growth. But last year, both frequency, how often people had accidents, and severity, which is the cost per accident, in other words, just how much those accidents cost you, both of those went up quite suddenly and substantially. And Progressive's figure showed that they were hit by that less than Allstate and GEICO and some others. But I don't think you'll see necessarily those same trends this year. It's an interesting thing. Last year, for the first time in I don't know how many years, the number of deaths in auto accidents per 100 million miles went up. Now, if you go back to the mid-1930s, there were almost 15 people killed per 100 million miles driven. It got down to just slightly over 1, from 15 to 1. You had roughly as many people killed in auto accidents in the mid-1930s, about 33,000 a year, as we had last year, or the year before, when people drove almost 15 times as many miles. Cars have gotten far, 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 far safer. And it's a good thing, because if we'd had the same rate of deaths from auto accidents as we had in the 30s relative to miles driven, we would have had over 500,000 people die last year from auto accidents instead of a figure closer to 40,000. But last year, for the first time, there was more driving, and I think there was more distracted driving. So you really had this uptick in frequency and more important, in severity. GEICO has adjusted its rates. As I mentioned, my own prediction would be that the underwriting margins at GEICO will be better this year than last year, although you never know when catastrophes are coming along. March and April have had a lot of cat activity. I made a bet a long time ago on a mental one on the GEICO model versus the Progressive model, and as I say, they were significantly ahead of us in volume a few years back, and we passed them, and we passed Allstate, and as I put in the annual report, I hope on my 100th birthday that the GEICO people announced to me that they passed State Farm, but I have to do my share on that too by getting to 100, so we'll see what happens on that particular one. Charlie?
Well, I don't think it's a tragedy that some competitor got a little better ratio from one period. GEICO's quadrupled its market share since we bought all of it.
Quintupled, yeah.
Quintupled, all right. I don't think we should worry about the fact that somebody else had a good quarter.
Yeah. I think it's far more sure that GEICO will pass State Farm someday than that I'll make it to 100, I'll put it that way.